Welcome back. So today it's technical day. We're going to be talking about sauce making. And if I'm mentioning the word beurre blanc, I'm sure that you've heard this before, right? It is the white butter sauce used in French cooking that you serve with white fish. But did you know that the beurre blanc actually has a sibling called the beurre rouge? There are two butters, in fact, two butter sauce. You got the beurre blanc and the beurre rouge. The beurre rouge is not talked about that much, but for some reason, in recent time, it's kind of making a comeback. And in this video, we're going to learn how to make it. Let's go. So what on earth is the beurre rouge? In French, it means the red butter. The beurre blanc means the white butter, so they're both butter sauce, same technique, a warm emulsified sauce in which is a reduction of wine, red or white, with aromatics, and then you whisk in cold pieces of butter in there to create your sauce. The biggest challenge with this one, and I think this is why it's not that popular, because you need a really big reduction of wine, typically 40 centiliters of red wine, and reduced to just a few tablespoons. And the second thing is the problem with the color. Ideally, you want to have a dark sauce, a dark red sauce. The problem, you have to make something red with something white. And when you do that, you get something that's pink. So it's very hard to get that really deep color. So we're going to try to go and use different techniques from different chefs, and I'll take you through to see what kind of things are being done by French chefs and even so American chefs to try to get that color. For the ingredients, of course, you're going to need wine. I recommend a French full body. Don't go buy expensive stuff. Buy bottom of the shelf French wine. They're always good for cooking, no problem. If you want, optional, some ruby port. You'll see why. This is a technique from Thomas Keller, actually, that we'll talk about. And for the rest, we've got some mushroom, carrots, shallot, a bit of tomato paste. That's an addition from a French chef. Aromatics, and of course the butter. The butter has to be cold. You keep it in the fridge, but not too cold and not too soft. It's a bit of a thin line, but we'll see this through. The demonstration, let's start immediately with the reduction. So I've talked about the problem with the color of the sauce here, but there's also another problem with that sauce, or a difficulty, shall I say, and that is to have a proper taste. If you just reduce wine with just shallot, it's going to be bland. And if your wine is not complex enough and doesn't have enough fruitiness, it's not going to be up to scratch. So I'm using different techniques from different chefs. Let me show you what we're going to have here. We're going to start with the flavoring. So we're going to add some shallot taste. We're going to have a bit of mushrooms. We're going to have a bit of carrot. All this going to contribute juniper berries, peppercorn, crushed garlic. We're going to have some thyme in here. We're going to have some parsley stalks, bay leaf, and even here a bit of tomato paste. Why tomato paste? This is going to really improve the color. Now we've got plenty of aromatic. It's going to make that sauce very floral. Right? It is very important. If I only had shallot, it would be really boring. Another problem here is the acidity. Lots and lots of wine, really acidic. So typically, Thomas Keller, for instance, one of his tricks, because he understands the techniques, he knows it's going to be acidic. So instead of adding sugar, he's using port. This is something I'm going to do. I'm going to mix all kinds of techniques, okay? I'm not using much because it's sweet. A French chef, what he does, he adds a pinch of sugar in there, which I'm going to do as well. Half port, half sugar. And then comes the wine. The wine, 400 ml. This is a Bordeaux Haut Médoc. They're super cheap at the moment. It's a blend of Cabernet, Merlot. Sometimes you can have some Syrah, and that's going to bring complexity. We're then going to just put the heat on, bring this to a light boil, and start the reduction. Mix a bit in for the tomato paste, and off we go. So there we have it. My red wine is now boiling. This is the first part. It's the first reduction where we're trying to accelerate the process of reduction by using a large pan like this. If it's very narrow, like a saucepan, it's going to take forever. So we're going to reduce this at least by half, and that step is to really flavor your wine and start to get off with the reduction. So we're going to be halfway there. Now the fumes. When you smell your wine, you want to smell fragrance of floral notes. Like here we've got the mushrooms, the carrots, the branches of parsley, the spices. You want to have that, and it's going to be a good base, a good reduction. If your mix just smells like a horrible acidic vinegar-like kind of thing, it means your wine is terrible and you don't have enough aromatics, and I will tell you stop right there because you're not going to get anything good out of that. So you really want a lot of taste and aromatic into your reduction because that is going to define your sauce. Timing here by half is going to be a good 10-15 minutes, maybe not high heat but medium high. It's been actually just 10 minutes and look at this. You see how dark that is? Still plenty of liquid. But the first stage is now finished. I'm going to turn my heat off and we're going to get rid of all the aromatics. It's very simple. What we're going to do is to change pan. I'm going to take my other pan. Okay, take another pan. And I'm just going to filter everything and then press my garnish through in there. So I've put all the little garnish in there and I'm going to use a spoon, make sure we get all the wine out. Okay, and in the pan. So you see nothing complex when we're here. Going to put the heat back on, but this time on medium, a maximum, a medium to medium low, and we're going to gently reduce this until we've got 2 to 3 tablespoons of liquid left, maximum. It needs to be kind of syrupy, that's what we're looking for, syrupy consistency. So this is the kind of boiling that you want to have. You can reduce a little bit. It's very gentle, and as you can see, there's not much left, and slowly it's going to get syrupy. Yeah? So you need to take your time. Perfect, so I've just turned my heat off, and my recommendation when you got 3 tablespoons, just stop the heat off because it's going to continue to reduce. You can see that syrupy consistency. See how it coats the spoon. It's a wine syrup. So when you have this, you're good to go. As I said, it will continue to thicken, so don't be scared to stop when it's still a little bit liquid, because you're just gonna get that right consistency, okay? And now, when we're here, basically that's it. We've got the reduction, we're ready to take the butter out. The butter has to be in the fridge, it has to be nice and cold, and then we're gonna start to make the emulsion. And now let's make the sauce. So if you're scared of just using butter because it's a very unstable sauce, you can add a little bit of cream that will stabilize the emulsion. In terms of the heat, you need something that is really low. Okay, so you see that heat there? I'm talking like a medium to medium low. You don't want any boiling or simmering or whatever, but you want enough heat so that the butter kind of melts. The butter has to be cold, not too soft. All right, and we're gonna incorporate this a little bit at a time. So it looks something like that. You put your cubes of butter, and it's kind of a continuous whisk. So we have to multitask and keep on whisking until everything emulsifies. You can see at the beginning, if it's a bit too not hot enough, the butter doesn't seem to be melting here. You see, because I was stopping with the camera and stuff like that. So I'm going to raise my heat a little bit just to accelerate the process, but not too much. See, I want to get to that temperature. That things start to disappear, and as soon as my butter blocks kind of start to go away and disappear, I'm going to add more. And that's all it is. You can put up to 150 grams of butter in there. Okay, so don't, like a mayonnaise, don't add too much, and wait for the butter to disappear, and then you keep on going. Yeah? You see it's thickening, I'm adding more and more. And I'm just gonna keep going until all the butter is gone. It doesn't take long, just a few minutes, and then you're gonna be done. That's it, all the butter is in. This is my sauce. I'm gonna reduce my heat to very, very low. If you put your heat too high, the emulsion is gonna break, the butter is gonna melt, it's gonna disassociate, you're gonna have a soup. Okay, so this is how it looks like very quickly. I'm gonna take my spoon, and I'm showing you, this is the end result. This is the beurre rouge, it looks like. And we managed to keep a very dark color. Why? Because we've used this chef technique. Using this technique is very important when you're cooking, to understand what makes things work, you know, and that's what the big chef always do on a daily basis. And you follow these guidelines, you get something like this. Look at these colors, beautiful. Now, of course, final step, the finishing touches. You got your sauce, do not put the heat high or it's gonna break. It needs some salt, we didn't have any salt. So I've tasted, this is nice and sweet, a little bit of salt in there, and you want plenty of pepper. All these red wine sauces, serve with game, with duck, with anything, needs lots and lots of pepper. It is up to you, so you're gonna be mixing everything like that, okay? In case you see, I can see some smoke, I'm gonna turn my heat off to make sure nothing bad happened to my sauce. Take it off the heat and I'm gonna taste. All right? Look at beautiful sauce, honestly. Okay, so here's my little spoon. It's actually very nice. I think a little bit of more salt, and I think I'm going to put more pepper in there. Let's go. And that's it, a whisk and we're done. Let me talk about how to keep this warm. The best way to keep that sauce is to use a bain-marie. And so I didn't make much. Okay, I'm going to transfer everything. So this is a double boiler, basically. Unless you're ready to serve immediately, but I'm going to cook a piece of fish. You can serve this with fish or meat, which is quite interesting. Now for the final note, it's in the bain-marie. Look at this. This is the beurre rouge, and the sibling of the beurre blanc goes with meat and fish. I'm going to use a piece of fish on here. And of course, we're going to be tasting. I've added lots of pepper because I like that for this kind of sauces. It's well balanced. I think the buttery rounds the whole thing, nice and peppery. I can feel the tannins of that médoc, very dry, very tannic. It is done, you know, on purpose. Typically, you use a dry red, but I think for someone that doesn't like a dry one or like this kind of dry tannins, I would use maybe something else. You could go with a Pinot, but you're gonna need lots of it to really get that color. But away from that, this is how you make a beautiful beurre rouge with the right color. Because a lot of time, if you don't use the right technique, it can turn pink instead of that dark red. Now let's plate. So there we have it for the plating. It is very simple. I'm just showing you on that picture. You place the sauce and you put either a piece of fish or a piece of meat on there. The fish, surprisingly, it's really, really good. A fish with a red wine sauce is the first time I think I've tried that. It's actually really tasty. But meat, grilled meat, any steak, a seared steak will go perfectly. And keep in mind that if you have a steak with a herb butter, it's delicious, right? So here is the same thing, but you have a red wine butter. So I can't even start to imagine how good that must be. So very versatile sauce, not difficult to make. Just remember the types of wine you want, a dark, full-bodied wine if you want to achieve that kind of color. And as for the taste, I would add my personal taste. I think I'm gonna up the amount of shallots so you have something a little bit more shalloty like the beurre blanc. I think that's the only thing that was missing. If you want, you can sprinkle some extra parsley in the sauce as well. And for the rest, this is something I would advise you to try absolutely. If you're a fan of the beurre blanc, you've made it over and over again, you want something new, this is the ticket. I'll leave you with that picture anyway, and I'll see you next time on the French Cooking Academy for another video. Take care all, bye bye.